Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's morning session. My name is Taya Brown. I'm a consultant here at the Temple SBDC. You're joining us today for LinkedIn for businesses with our presenter, Karen Seymour. We will be sending over a follow-up email with the recording as well as an additional handout. This session is um, going to be shared same day. If you do have any questions, please share anything in the Q&A or chat box. Now I'll turn over the floor to Karen.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining me today to talk about LinkedIn. I am a social media marketer, digital marketing strategist with my own company, KJS Digital Marketing. And we work with a lot of professional service providers. And LinkedIn is one of the things that actually is my favorite social media marketing channel, my favorite way to build business and build connections and network. So I am excited to be here to talk about my favorite thing. In the meantime, please feel free to jump in with any questions, put them in the chat so that we can make this kind of a good two-way street, um, and make sure that you're getting the most out of this presentation for your specific business. So I'm going to go ahead and share. Okay. So here we go. A little bit more about what we're going to be talking about today. Creating a profile that positions you as the expert. So we want to make sure that, we're setting you up for success. Content strategy, specifically for 2026 algorithm. LinkedIn went through a number of algorithm changes recently. So I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to make sure you're maximizing that for exposure and reach, engagement for lead generation, and I'll leave you with a 30-day action plan to get you started and get you rolling. Bear with me. I am trying to adjust screen so I can see the slides too, but I maybe I don't know how to do that. Okay, we'll live. So a little bit about me, as I mentioned, I am the founder of KJS Digital Marketing. I started this business in 2017, specifically to work with small service-based businesses. A little bit of background, I grew up in small business. I grew up in family business. And I spent a number of years as an environmental consultant. So understanding complex issues and figuring out how to take those complex issues and translate them into something that was compelling and interesting online was sort of I would say, natural transition for me. Um, so when I talk about LinkedIn today, I'm not really talking about it just as a social media platform. I'm going to talk about it as a business development tool. Um, and that's a little bit different maybe than how maybe you've approached LinkedIn up to date. Please feel free to share in the chat if you are active on LinkedIn, if you're just getting started on LinkedIn, or this is a little bit of a refresher for you. So I'd love to hear where everybody's at in terms of their journey with business and with LinkedIn in particular. So the first thing we want to talk about is, why LinkedIn for business at all? For a long time, LinkedIn was just a space for people who were searching for new jobs. Um, the only thing you would see on there is that you got hired to go somewhere or that you were looking for work. And LinkedIn is different now. It's no by no means what it used to be. It is a relationship building platform. So here's 6 big reasons why you should consider using LinkedIn for a business, no matter what stage of business you're at. Um, the fact is that your buyers are researching before they reach out. Uh, when you Google somebody's name, LinkedIn is one of the first two or three links that come up associated with them. So you want to make sure that if somebody's Googling you and they do find their way to your LinkedIn page, that it's representative, representing, can't talk, representing your business well, representing you as a person, as a professional well. Um, so, definitely make sure that you're using that to help further advance your business. Um, Expertise is valued over follower count. With social media, you're always told you want to go viral, you want to connect with X amount of people. LinkedIn, it really doesn't matter. LinkedIn is more about quality over quantity. Um, it's about making sure you're making the right connections as opposed to just a good number of connections. Long form content lets you demonstrate your thinking. Search optimization helps prospect find you when they're actively looking. And 80%, if you're B2B, 80% of your leads are coming probably from LinkedIn. I know for me and my business, LinkedIn has been a game changer, not only in how we service our clients, but also for lead generation for myself. And relationship building at scale. There's only so much networking events that you can go to. We want to make sure that you're using LinkedIn as a way to talk to a number of people intimately, quickly, and efficiently. Any questions so far, Taya?
There's currently one question from John Thomas. What do you mean by long form content?
So LinkedIn gives you an opportunity to write longer captions that chances are people might actually read. So you can get a little bit deeper into topics that are relevant to you and your industry. There's also the opportunity to do newsletters on there. There's the opportunity to write articles on there as well. So if thought leadership is something that's really important to your potential clients and your potential buyers or referral partners, LinkedIn gives you that opportunity.
And that's the only question at the moment.
Okay. Um, so we want to start off with thinking about your profile. Um, a lot of people, my clients included, when they come in, they haven't really even looked at their profile in years. So it's not necessarily reflective of where they are right now, what their interests are, and who they want to be talking to. So the first thing we're going to go through is how can we set up a profile that actually works for us when we're not even around, when we're asleep. Um, the first thing we want to think about is using a professional headshot. It doesn't have to be stuffy. It doesn't have to be like, unless you're an attorney, it doesn't have to, be you in a power suit posing with your arms crossed. It doesn't have to be that serious. I'm in marketing, so I have a little bit more, range that I can use in terms of the type of photo that I use. But my photos are always high quality. They're taken by a photographer. Um, make sure that it's clear. You make sure that people can see what your face looks like, and make sure that it's recent. Sometimes you see people's photos and they don't necessarily match up with the person that you meet in person. Maybe you're meeting them for coffee, maybe you're meeting them at a networking event and then connecting on LinkedIn, and you want to make sure that that picture actually looks like you. The other space that is really useful and underutilized is this space behind this branded cover image. This is a great opportunity to add, this is a little bit old for me, but you can add your logo, you can add a sentence or two about who you are. what you value, what you're looking for, what type of business you have. This is like free real estate that's easy to use, easy to put up. Don't leave this blank. Make sure to put something in here that's reflective of who you are as a professional. And then customizing your URL takes no time. It helps with search. It looks good. It's really, really easy. It takes like, 30 seconds or so to set up. Um, and your custom URL will have your name in it. And that's why it's so important to use. It helps with search, especially if maybe you're transitioning from working into being a business owner. This helps people be able to find you, and it adds into your reputation. So, killer headline. So, your headline space here, typically people, and this is kind of left over from the olden days of LinkedIn, where you would just put in who you are. So I would just have put in marketing agency owner or digital marketing strategist, owner at XYZ. And that's kind of a waste. This headline is a space to tell someone who you are and what you are. Your headline shows up everywhere. It shows up in your search results. It shows up in connection requests. It shows up in comments that you leave on other people's posts. So every time someone sees your name, they see your headline. And it is the most read piece of copy on this platform. So I like to think of it as a formula. The formula is simple. It's who do you help? What problem do you solve? What makes your approach different? You don't have to put in all three every time, but a combination of the two. And also remember that this is something that you can change. I mean, I change my headline probably every quarter, because I'm in marketing. I'm always testing to see what's working. But it's important to think about what is compelling to my potential customer or my potential referral partner. What can I write in this headline that really describes me and that separates me from the next marketing agency owner? What am I saying that really tells somebody, oh, I really want to click on her profile and learn more about her, or I want to talk to her? Think about that when you're writing this headline. Any questions? Anybody want to share what they have as their LinkedIn headline?
We do have two questions in the chat. Um, First one is there a certain pixel count that is best for a headshot?
Yeah, they actually it tells you. I can't think of it off the top of my head because I think they've changed it. But when you go to upload your profile picture, it'll tell you X number of pixels by X number of pixels. It's typically a square, so I think it might be 1080 by 1080. I can't think of it off the top, but definitely maximize that.
The second question is, are there tutorials on LinkedIn that we can view to help educate me before I start without much knowledge about LinkedIn?
Yeah, so LinkedIn has LinkedIn Learning actually. So if you go on to LinkedIn, there's an option on there that you can enroll in some of these online courses, ranging from, probably LinkedIn 101 and getting started to best practices for engaging with people and connecting with people. We're going to cover some of that here. So, but if you have any questions afterwards, I will share my LinkedIn profile as well, my LinkedIn link. Connect with me, send me a message, and I'd be happy to answer any like specific questions that you may have.
And that's all the questions for now.
Okay. So the next thing is the summary section. So again, once upon a time, the LinkedIn About sections kind of read more like a resume, 3 paragraphs about business, nothing about the person or the person reading it. So You want to make sure that you position your about section um, to make a real case for yourself. You want to explain, right from the perspective of the reader. So you're thinking about what are they looking for with you? What are they searching for? What can you tell them again about you that would be compelling to them? So here's a little example that I shared about an about section where we talked about, um, we had like a really casual, cool open, which kind of worked for my industry. It worked for my target audience, who was looking to cut through some of the noise. They maybe were looking for marketing assistance, but they didn't want the kind of word salad that comes along with it. So it starts with let's be real. So, what that is right from the start, I'm already addressing um, what problem that my audience is facing. And then I talk about what my approach is. So here's what I do to fix the problem. So you're talking about their problem, how you relate to the problem, how your business and how you have created a business perhaps to address that problem. And then you're showcasing the results that you have. So if it's a brand new business, you might not have results yet. So you don't need to, you can kind of skip this section. But if you do have any results, if you do have solutions or case studies or data that you can put in this section, that's a great place for it. And then you end with a call to action. You want them to do something. You don't want to just have them read and then move along and forget about you. Maybe you want an initial consultation. Maybe you want them to come visit you in the store. Maybe you want them to call. Maybe you want them to sign up for your newsletter. Think through a little bit more strategically about what you want somebody to do after they've read your profile and tell them, make sure, don't skip that step. Don't assume that somebody's going to know what to do next. Tell them what you want them to do next. And then here's a little about what's working now on LinkedIn. Carousels and PDFs are amazing. It's a great opportunity to share information and data in a way that's really bite-sized, easy to read, easy to digest. Longer captions tend to drive the most engagement, which is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, that you can write longer content, longer pieces of content. Saves are now becoming one of the strongest signals to LinkedIn that what you are writing is interesting. And that way, then they know to show it to more people and more people and more people. And two sentence hooks always perform 20% better. So thinking what a hook is what you're starting your caption with. If you think back to when you're scrolling on LinkedIn, chances are you see one or two sentences and then you decide whether you want to hit the see more button or you scroll back. You keep scrolling and skip it altogether. So we want to make sure that those first two sentences are really interesting, really compelling, specifically to the target audience, the person that you really want to talk to. Let's see, check my notes to make sure. And then some of you might have heard that you should put any links or outbound links as the first comment. That doesn't matter anymore. You don't need to do that. Let's say you've written an article, it's on your website, and your goal is to drive more traffic to the website. It's okay to put that link in the caption. Like I said, carousels do the best in terms of driving engagement, keeping people looking. The other part of things that LinkedIn is looking for is how long is somebody looking? It's called dwell time. How long is somebody looking at what you put up? If they're looking at it for 60 seconds, then they're amazing. And, with carousels, as you scroll through, you're looking at it for a longer period of time. than you would a still image. So that if you're interested in kind of driving more eyes to the things that you're putting out, carousels are always like the best. Infographics come second because again, they're a little bit more complex. There's something that you keep your eyes on. Text and photo after that, and then text only. So I wouldn't necessarily rely on text only. Um, Sometimes they get lost in the sauce unless you are an amazing writer and you write great hooks. Kind of lean into this video. I mean, into photos. And then videos, there's a separate tab on LinkedIn right now for videos. So if you're interested in doing more videos, definitely lean into that. Um, but it's about consistency. So if you are somebody who dreads being on video, I don't really love being on video personally. I always tell my clients to be on video. I don't love it. Um, but if that's something that you know that you can keep up with and be consistent with, lean into it. But it's not your only way of getting attention on LinkedIn. There are other ways to make sure that you're building a following and building connections. And then engagement for lead generation. We're all on LinkedIn, chances are, because we're running a business. And at the end result is that we're trying to build leads. We want to make money. The way to make money is to make connections, to build leads, to talk about your business and bring people in the door. So here's a undeniable, easy, well, I don't know if it's easy, but it's definitely something to do to 100% improve your engagement and bring in more leads. So 10 to 20 comments a day, which sounds like a lot, but it doesn't have to be. The idea is maybe set aside 30 minutes every day. That's your LinkedIn time. You search for topics and people that you're interested in interacting with, that you're interested in developing thought leadership for, and comment on those. It's one or two sentences. It could be a question. It could be, adding your 2 cents or your own thoughts to the topic that the person is talking about. Anything except saying like, great job, good post, or something really generic and boring like that, because those are just ignored. You might as well not do it at all. And I see a lot of questions or comments coming in. Comments with 10 plus words have twice the impact, like I said. Comment on your own post after 15 minutes. So you'll notice that some of the biggest thought leaders and most active LinkedIn users comment on their own posts. And sometimes it's, a question underneath, or an experience, or something that is engaging that drives people to want to answer it. That works twofold. First of all, you're encouraging people to comment on your post, which is always amazing. And then it also signals to LinkedIn, if there's a comment under your post within 15 minutes, that this is a really compelling post. So they want to show it to more people. And that helps you with views, it helps with impressions. And then it helps with people being interested in and seeing what you're putting out. You're signaling to LinkedIn that this content is worth sharing. What else? Make sure I have everything. Yeah, I share a related experience. That's another great way to engage with somebody on LinkedIn, is sharing your own experience with whatever they're talking about. It could be 2 or 3 sentences. And, also think about when you're posting comments on other people's posts, not only is the person who posted it seeing it, all of their commenters and people who are interacting with their posts afterwards is also interacting and seeing what you're posting. So when you're putting something that's really thoughtful and interesting underneath somebody else's post, it's also a great way to get attention on your own content, on your own post, and drive engagement to you. So typically, if you're thinking about, okay, maybe there's somebody really with a really big following within your industry, they have the type of followers that that you want to make sure know about you and connect with you. That's a great person to make sure that, is on your list of people that you want to make sure that you're commenting on. Um, because that way you're sort of getting attention in front of their followers as well. So that's always an amazing way to kind of like build easy rapport. And again, it could be maybe somebody that is a potential prospect commenting on their post. Fantastic. People love the attention. People love to see that somebody is enjoying what they're putting out. And so you're positioning yourself really well and getting their attention just by commenting on something that they wrote. So I would say put aside 30 minutes a day. It could be maybe 11 to 11:30. Like this is my LinkedIn time. You go on LinkedIn, you do all your LinkedIn things. Maybe you're writing your post, you're putting out your post, you're commenting your post, you're commenting on maybe you have like a list of industry titans or people that you're interested in making connections with, and you make sure that you connect with them and comment on their posts. And then that moves to the connection building. So if you are commenting on somebody's post, that strengthens your relationship before you reach out to them on DM or before you make a connection request. It doesn't seem as salesy. It seems like a more um, normal, traditional transition because you're interacting with our posts already. Perhaps they already know your name because of that. And then when you go to make the connection request, then it's not like coming out of nowhere. It's not cold. Um, and that way you can say, I saw your post about X and Y, and I thought of this. And it moves past the I'd love to connect message and gives you a better chance that they will be interested in having a conversation with you. We're all a little bit more weary of people connecting who immediately, what we call pitch slap, which means that they immediately connect with you and they immediately start talking about themselves and their business. It's really off-putting. It doesn't work. Um, it's much better to try to approach this as if you met this person in person. You wouldn't walk up to a person and start talking about your business and not ask them any questions. You wouldn't do that. It doesn't work. You're going to think about this as a long-term networking play and start talking to them like a normal person. Give them a compliment about something. Say, oh, so lovely to meet you at XYZ. Start off a conversation and ask them a question. Again, it's very flattering. People love to talk about themselves. If you move in with, hey, let's talk about you, let's talk about what's going on with you, what's going on with your work, what's going on with XYZ, whatever issue or problem that you solve. And then you can maybe work the conversation towards that at some point, but you don't want to start off that way. I saw a bunch of comments coming in.
Yes, we do have a few questions. The first one is, what is a carousel?
Oh, a carousel is if you go on LinkedIn, or if you're an Instagram user, you see how they have slides that go across. That's what we consider a carousel. And the way to upload a carousel is, let's say you have multiple slides, like say this presentation. If I wanted to put that up on LinkedIn as a carousel, I would convert it into a PDF and upload it as a post on LinkedIn. And that way people read through it and they slide and slide and slide. I should have said it's more like slides than anything else, but we call it a carousel. Let me know if that answers that question.
In regards to a copy of the slides won't be sent, but we will send out a recording as well as a handout in the follow-up email for the session. And then the next question is, what do you recommend for a business that doesn't generate many photos?
Um, I recommend, well, depends. So if it is founder led, as a business, pictures of you at work, candidates, it could be pictures of the city. It doesn't have to be like an Instagram, for instance, where you're constantly relying on that visual element. Uh, it could be something as simple as you working at a desk or um, you working in a store. Whatever your business is, you can use that.
Okay, next question is how important is it to create a separate LinkedIn page for my business as opposed to using my personal profile?
So I always say to do both. Just because your LinkedIn company page is your brand as a business, and then your personal profile is your personal brand. So the LinkedIn company profile, we typically want to put up things that are related to reviews, testimonials, behind the scenes, work that you might be doing in the community as a business, sponsorships. Um, like you're really speaking as the company. And then your personal profile is more about what your thoughts are as a leader, as a business owner. And it's a great way to use to build your network, to create connections, to network with people. When you meet people in person, you would send them to your personal profile as opposed to your company profile. So the company profile is really just a way to build your brand and build that brand name. And then your personal profile is the vehicle to really use as a connection and build your network. I mean, if you had to choose one or the other, I would definitely start and put your effort into the personal profile because LinkedIn prioritizes that. It shows it to more people. Um, it's what you will use to create connections with people and really establish your name in your industry.
The next question is tied to that. Do you need a personal LinkedIn to create a business profile?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is in the slides regarding the science of comments, are you suggesting that we post 10 to 20 comments daily to other people's posts or that we post 10 to 20 comments on our website per day?
Oh no, 10 to 20 comments on other people. So you find 10 to 20 posts that other people have put up within your industry or people that you want to make connection with and comment on their content.
And then just two more questions.
Mhm.
Do you suggest using a carousel and also posting some long form content on my website?
On the website, well, that's a hard question to answer without knowing what type of website you have or what your business is. If you mean posting on your profile, yes, definitely consider using carousels as a way to grow engagement. But I will say, don't do it just to do it. Like if you don't want to have a carousel with like nothing on it. The end of the day, we still want to add value. We want to put out something that is interesting and compelling. So if you have content to put into carousel, definitely do it. If you don't force it.
And it looks like this individual has a recruitment firm and they were asking in regards to a LinkedIn profile above for a carousel versus a long form content.
Yeah, I would use the carousel. A lot of this comes down to testing and seeing how your specific audience responds to things. But I will say that carousels are just right now they're kind of killing it, and they're if you have a recruitment firm, maybe the carousels are talking about each slide has a job posting or a position that you need filled or it could be tips on job search. It could be, something that comes from your professional experience that you can put on there that would be applicable or interesting to the business owners that come to you for recruiting or the job applicants that come to you for recruiting. So
Okay.
you're really thinking about, I mean, a lot of this is like, who are you talking to? And if you understand who you're talking to, then you're able to kind of like work backwards and think about, okay, what can I put out there that would be interesting to this person or people?
Okay, we'll continue the session, and continue to post any questions that you have. We'll answer them throughout.
So just quickly, because I know we're running low on time and I want to make sure that we have enough time for questions. Um, did I skip anything? Paradise funded. Oh, I did skip this. Sorry. Um, so again, we're kind of thinking again about that strategic connection building. So we're talking about we're talking to the people that we know that we want to make connections with. We're not talking to the masses. We're not talking to everybody. We're talking to, again, if you have that recruitment firm, you're thinking about the quality of people that you are connecting with. So you want to talk to people who are business owners, who maybe are in HR, who are in those positions where they hire you and they come to you, um, and connect with people with that job title. So that's really the nice thing about LinkedIn is that you can see what everybody does pretty quickly. And that's why it's such a great tool for business. It gives you a great opportunity to search by industry, search by job title, and then target those people and understand that you're building a relationship with them. So it doesn't, you don't going viral or having 10,000 connections is not really a flex on LinkedIn. That's not something that you need. What you need is to have an audience full of your target audience, to the people who help you with business, the people that you would want to network with. So even if that means sitting down and thinking through who would I like to meet? What type of person would I like to meet? What is their job title? Where do they work? Um, or maybe they own a business. Maybe they own a business with 10 people. Maybe they own a business with 10,000 people. So you start to think through really strategically who you want to meet, and then you start to build relationships with them. And the building starts with commenting, interacting with their posts, then a connection request, then a DM, and then hopefully maybe a coffee meeting, a Zoom meeting, something else that next step where you're getting in person and you're taking the conversation off LinkedIn. That's always the goal. Um, so personalized connection requests, that's really important too. And that's something that we talked about a little bit earlier. If you're able to say, I loved your post about blah, or I saw that you were involved with this organization. This is important to me because, you're starting with something a little bit warm. You're starting with something that's not, hey, I want to connect with you because I want to sell you something, because that is just not going to work. And we're all weary of that. We're all looking out for that. We're all very savvy. Um, so, making it feel like a normal conversation, a regular conversation is really the way to engage with somebody and to bring them into your world. You want to make sure that you're following up with people within 24 to 48 hours. Why? Well, the answer is we're all busy. Everybody, we move on, we forget. Um, you have to build off of a little bit of excitement, a little bit of interest. If you wait a week, who knows what happened in that week? They forgot about you. They forgot about the conversation. Maybe their problem is solved by somebody else. Um, you want to make sure that you're showing up as a professional, and part of that is that quick turnaround and that quick follow up. And like I said, the goal is to move from LinkedIn to offline. You start this conversation that way. You use the information that you have on LinkedIn. You make that connection. You start that conversation. You do that back and forth. And then you ask for the coffee or the Zoom meeting. Um, the idea is to further that connection, further um, that connection and that awareness of you as a person. And then you can start to really like lean into a little bit more. If somebody is agreeing to talk to you for to spend 30 minutes or 15 minutes talking to you offline, that's a win. That's a huge win. That means that you're moving in the right direction. That means they're interested in what you have to say. So that's an opportunity to really start to talk about um, continuing that relationship in whatever direction that is, whether it's a referral partner or a potential lead or customer. Um, Analytics, we want to focus on trends, not daily numbers. And by trends, what I mean is look at your analytics maybe every 30 days. You want to see what people are engaging with. If people are saving a certain type of content that you're putting out, that means that's great content. So you want to lean into that and think about how you can write more about that particular subject. Um, Check your audience growth. Again, we want to make sure our audience is growing, but only with the people who are our target audience. So let's say for me, my business, let's say I'm targeting still small business, but people with 10 to 25 employees, let's say. And my audience is full of solopreneurs. That means that I'm missing my target. And then I have to think about how I can adjust the content that I'm putting out and the connections that I'm making to better suit what I'm trying to build as a business owner. And engagement patterns. Who is constantly responding to your content? If somebody's taking the time to like your content all the time or comment on your content all the time, that is a super, super warm lead. Um, Check them out, see what their demographics say about them, see whether they fall into your target market. And if they do, absolutely make sure you make that connection and talk to them and bring them into your orbit. Um, Sometimes that you have clients or potential clients, I definitely have that have watched me on my LinkedIn for years. Um, and maybe they weren't ready at the time to work with me. Maybe they weren't set up in their business at the time to work with me, but they silently, quietly watched everything that I was doing. And then when they were, when they were ready to hire a marketing company or work with somebody, they reached out. So think about that as well as you're presenting and creating your persona and building your personal brand, that there are people watching who you don't know. That sounded creepy, but you know what I mean. And this is something that I will send to you if you're interested. It's a 30-day plan for LinkedIn success. It takes you all the way through with step by step what to do each week, all the way through to 30 days. Um, and I can send this slide over to whoever asks for it or wants it. But this is a really great tool to get you started, especially if you are already on LinkedIn and maybe you're ready to level up or you're just getting started with LinkedIn. This is a step-by-step way to make sure that you're using LinkedIn to the best possible use to get you to success on LinkedIn. Um, and then this is my QR code. I would love to talk to any of you who have any questions and want to follow up. If you want me to look at your LinkedIn profile, I'm happy to do that as well. Please reach out or search for me on LinkedIn, Karen Seymour. And my business is KJS Digital Marketing. Um, this is my custom URL, which I mentioned earlier. So LinkedIn KJ Seymour, Seymour. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I'd love to open the floor to a little bit of open discussion. And we can talk through some of the things we learned today.
Thank you, Karen, for presenting. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the Q&A or chat. Um, there will also be a survey link added to the chat this is required by our funders, so we can continue to provide no-cost webinars like this one to you guys. And we do value your feedback as well. The first question will be, someone missed it. Should you have two separate accounts, as opposed to for business and personal for LinkedIn?
Profiles or I guess
I'm
I'm,
assuming two different, they just said two separate accounts, so I'm assuming two di separate like profiles.
no, not at all. So LinkedIn is a place for business. When people go on LinkedIn, they're thinking about business, they're business minded. It's not the same as like an Instagram or a Facebook, where maybe you would be talking a little bit more casually about what's going on with your day, or maybe you're getting into politics or God forbid, something like that. LinkedIn is a place for business. So when you're thinking about your personal brand, what do you want to be known for? You want to think through what would a potential client, referral partner, um, competitor, what would they be looking at or looking for with you? And that's what you're putting up on your LinkedIn profile. I would only keep one. Again, like I said, when somebody's Googling your name and looking you up, your LinkedIn comes up. You don't want them to be two, to be some confusion over which one they're supposed to be looking at. I would just stick to one and keep it clean.
All right. The next one is question is it still viable to post articles?
Yes. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for a couple different reasons. So now we're in 2026, we're dealing with not only people searching, we have SEO to think about, and we have to think about the AI search. So putting out more quality content is always going to be better than not. Um, Articles still do really well. If you have newsletters on there as well, like LinkedIn has this program or feature rather, where you can publish newsletters. You can get people to sign up for newsletters. It delivers directly into their mailbox. It pings them online, and so you get this like massive opportunity to connect with people and have people understand how you think a little bit more. That's the point of articles. What your opinion is on a certain subject, how you do things as a business owner, um, mission, vision, values, things like that. Writing articles are always amazing. And then the other opportunities, you can always repurpose your article and put it on your website if you're thinking about trying to drive more traffic to the website as well. But for AI search and making sure that you're being known for something, writing articles is fantastic.
All right. Next question is any thoughts or advice on reposts? Should we add our own thoughts to them? Are they helpful in driving connections?
Um, Not really helpful for driving connections unless you repost and add one or two sentences. So it would be the same thought process as when you're writing comments on other people's posts. Um, you want to write something that is compelling and interesting, and relevant to the original post when you're reposting. So on the one hand, yes, of course, the original poster gets notification that you've reposted. But if you just repost with nothing, it and LinkedIn is not going to really show it to anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you at all unless you add a comment or two or a sentence or two.
Right. I do see several individuals interested in the 30-day plan. I'll add Karen's email so you can reach out to her directly. We will also send a follow email to the email that you utilize to register. So that's where your follow-up materials will go from us. And then just one more question. I see did you develop your website or use an outside firm? or perhaps both. What software did you use? Perhaps WordPress, Wix, or any others. And then they are also asking if there's any availability to schedule some time.
Yeah, of course. I would, Taya, can I give you my scheduling link?
Yes. And I
Okay.
apologize. I did read that incorrectly. They said they would like to okay, yeah, they're looking for yeah, some scheduling availability.
Yeah, so I'll send my scheduling link too. Happy to talk to anybody about LinkedIn. That's really all. I just love talking about LinkedIn. I love talking about marketing. So I'll talk your ear off and give you all great advice. And then for my website, when I started, I built it myself. And when I had enough money to not do that, I definitely hired another firm to build my website. But most of the copy on my website is mine because I just know enough about WordPress to kind of write updates myself. And yes, WordPress is what I used. It is the most robust, um, but understand that with robustness comes like there's a lot of choices and a lot of decisions to be made. But I like that. So I went with WordPress. Wix I found is just really difficult in terms of SEO and get discoverability. I didn't love that. And then I saw you asked about the pop-up. Um, the pop-ups and appointment scheduling, I did all of that through Acuity, but you can also use Calendly. Um, it's super easy to add pop-ups into websites now. It's like a little bit of a copy paste of a code into a header. But other than that, they make it really, really easy for a lot of these platforms to integrate into your website. So scheduling was Acuity. And then for newsletters, I use Flowdesk. And I think that was it regarding platforms. Oh, can I share the same post from Instagram or Facebook created to LinkedIn? You can. Um, I would adjust it a little bit. So you can, the idea is that you can, of course, if you're creating content, if you're creating a graphic and writing a caption, you can certainly post that on your LinkedIn profile. When we do that, we always take a moment to really make sure that it's written in a way that speaks to the LinkedIn audience. So, for instance, let's say you're using Instagram for sales, but you're using LinkedIn for investors, then you would kind of write the captions and your content on LinkedIn a little bit differently. Um, but if your audience is the same on all three platforms, then you can keep it the same. It just really depends on individually understanding who your audience is and what your goals are for each platform. John is asking all these questions about my website. Bluehost is my host for the website. Um, oh, to create the newsletter, I use Flowdesk, but you can use MailChimp. Um, that's a really easy one to get started with. I just like Flowdesk just because it uh, aesthetically, I could kind of build the newsletters that I like. But you know, MailChimp is definitely an option. Let me write. Um, oh, LinkedIn Navigator. So it is worth the money. um, Barbara Casey asked if LinkedIn Navigator is worth the money. Um, it is if you have a clear understanding of who you're targeting, and you're willing to invest the time behind it as well. Um, Navigator just, it allows you to build lists of your target audiences much easier because it really delves into um, company size, industry, location, how long the business has been open, how long maybe they worked at a certain place. Like it gives you a lot of granular information, that if you really understand who it is that you're targeting, definitely that's like step two. But if you're just getting started at using LinkedIn for engagement and building up your leads, I wouldn't invest in it quite yet. You can use the search bar quite easily to kind of give you a better idea and an understanding of who you want to connect with. And the other thing to bear in mind too is like, I've been in business for 9 years. My target 9 years ago is not my target now. So, you know, keep in mind that evolves, and be willing and able to be agile with that as well, with time. Did I miss any questions to you? I think I got.
No, that concludes all the questions that we have.
Thank you guys all for asking amazing questions. Uh, oh, okay. John, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, asking these amazing questions. Again, please, please, please reach out. You'll have my email, you'll have my LinkedIn. Happy to chat with any of you, all of you, about LinkedIn and how to use it better for business development. It's a great tool. Highly, highly recommend that everybody lean into it.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you everyone for joining. The follow email will go out to everyone by the end of the day. It will include the materials from this session as well as Karen's information, so you can get in contact with her. If you do have any questions or interested in any consulting or upcoming webinars, we'll also have the information listed as well. Have a great day, everyone.